Paul McCartney, born James Paul McCartney on June 18, 1942 in Liverpool, England, grew up in a modest working-class family. His father, Jim, was a jazz musician who played the piano and trumpet, while his mother, Mary, worked as a nurse. Tragedy struck early when Paul's mother passed away from breast cancer when he was just 14, an event that profoundly affected him and later influenced some of his most emotional songwriting. Despite the hardship, Paul's early love for music remained unwavering, largely inspired by his parents. His path to stardom began at 15 when he met John Lennon at a church fete. Paul impressed John with his musical skills, leading him to join Lennon's band, the Quarrymen, in 1957. This moment marked the start of one of the most legendary partnerships in music history. Their musical chemistry laid the foundation for the creation of The Beatles, forever changing the landscape of popular music. The Beatles' rise to global fame. The formation of the Beatles in the early 1960s saw Paul McCartney become one of the band's key pillars, alongside John Lennon, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. As the bassist and a lead vocalist, Paul was integral in shaping the group's sound with his melodic bass lines, versatile voice, and exceptional songwriting. Together with John Lennon, McCartney wrote hundreds of songs that defined the Beatles' music and became timeless classics. His contributions included unforgettable hits like Yesterday, Hey Jude, Let It Be, and Blackbird, showcasing his unique ability to blend melody and emotion. While John's songs were often introspective and rebellious, Paul's creations reflected a more romantic and melodic sensibility, creating a perfect balance. The Beatles' breakthrough albums, such as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, solidified their place in musical history, with McCartney's artistry remaining at the core of their sound. Life after the Beatles, reinvention and success. After the Beatles disbanded in 1970, Paul McCartney was faced with the daunting challenge of reinventing himself as a solo artist. His first solo album, McCartney, was released in 1970, featuring the heartfelt ballad Maybe I'm Amazed, which was dedicated to his first wife, Linda Eastman. The album marked the beginning of his successful post-Beatles journey. A year later, Paul and Linda formed the band Wings, which achieved commercial success in the 1970s. Their albums, including Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, and Silly Love Songs, solidified Paul's ability to thrive outside of the Beatles' shadow. He continued to tour worldwide, proving that he could captivate audiences with his timeless music. McCartney's ability to evolve as an artist while maintaining the essence of his songwriting cemented his place as one of the most successful musicians in history. McCartney's enduring creativity and live performances. Even as he entered his 60s, Paul McCartney showed no signs of slowing down. His passion for music remained as strong as ever, and rather than retreating into retirement, he continued to perform and record new material. His concerts became a celebration of his extraordinary musical journey, with McCartney performing songs from his entire career, early Beatles hits, solo classics, and even newer material. His performances were known for their energy and connection with audiences, often lasting 3 hours, where he showcased his ability to seamlessly blend past and present. McCartney's concerts took him across the globe, drawing fans of all ages and keeping his live performances as vibrant as his youth. Whether performing Hey Jude or Maybe I'm Amazed, McCartney's ability to engage with his audience made his shows unforgettable events, proving his lasting appeal. Exploring new horizons, classical music and beyond. In 2006, McCartney ventured into new musical territories with the release of Exi Cor Meum, a classical album that showcased his versatility as a composer. The album, inspired by the memory of his late wife, Linda, was composed in both Latin and English, reflecting McCartney's growing interest in orchestral music. The The premiere took place at the Royal Albert Hall in London, with the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields performing the piece. Critics praised the album for its emotional depth and melodic beauty, marking a significant achievement in McCartney's musical evolution. This project demonstrated that McCartney was not only a rock legend, but also a serious classical composer capable of bridging the gap between popular music and classical music. McCartney's pursuit of new artistic endeavours in his later years proved his dedication to growth and experimentation as a musician. Reflecting on life and legacy, as Paul McCartney approached his 60s, he continued to explore his thoughts on ageing and legacy, which became a key theme in his album Memory Almost Full, 2007. The album reflected on the passage of time and the inevitability of change. Many of the songs were inspired by McCartney's own experiences with life, love and loss, particularly his divorce from Heather Mills and the challenges of raising his young daughter, Beatrice. The album was a commercial success, debuting in the top 5 in both the UK and the US. In 2008, McCartney once again reinvented his musical style with Electric Arguments, an experimental album recorded with producer Youth under the project name The Fireman. The album, which combined rock, folk and ambient sounds, showcased McCartney's willingness to embrace new genres and push the boundaries of his creativity. The project earned widespread praise for its freshness and experimental approach, demonstrating McCartney's artistic versatility. The legacy of McCartney's marriages. Paul McCartney's personal life has been as public and complex as his career. His first marriage to Linda Eastman in 1969 became one of the most enduring celebrity unions of the 20th century. Together they raised 4 children and formed the band Wings, achieving commercial success in the 1970s. Linda, an animal rights advocate, also inspired Paul to become a vegetarian and an advocate for animal welfare. Their marriage lasted until Linda's death in 1998, which left McCartney devastated. After several years of grief, McCartney married Heather Mills in 2002, but their relationship was marked by intense media scrutiny and personal challenges, ultimately ending in divorce in 2008. In 2011, McCartney married Nancy Shevell, a businesswoman, marking the beginning of a quieter, more stable chapter in his life. Their marriage, characterised by mutual respect and privacy, has remained a source of peace for McCartney in his later years. Paul and George Harrison, a complicated bond. At 83, Paul McCartney has reached a point in his life where reflection comes more naturally. One of the most significant relationships in his life was with George Harrison, his bandmate in the Beatles. For years, the public speculated about the true nature of their bond, often seeing it through the lens of rivalry and creative tensions. Now, in his later years, McCartney has chosen to speak candidly about their relationship. George was like a little brother to me, he says, recalling their early days together in Liverpool and Hamburg. Though their bond was initially formed through shared musical aspirations, it wasn't without tension. McCartney admits that his perfectionism sometimes overshadowed George's creative voice, but he acknowledges how much George's own songwriting talent, particularly on tracks like Something and Here Comes the Sun, enriched the Beatles' legacy, healing and closure. McCartney's final moments with George Harrison. McCartney speaks with warmth and tenderness about the final years of his friendship with George Harrison, particularly during George's battle with cancer. The two reunited privately, setting aside their old grievances to reconnect as friends. McCartney fondly remembers hours spent together, simply talking and holding hands, without discussing the Beatles or their shared past. It was during this time that McCartney felt a sense of closure and peace, knowing that their friendship had healed. After George's passing in 2001, McCartney continued to honour his legacy, often performing Something in concert, beginning with a ukulele George's favourite instrument. McCartney's performances of the song serve as a tribute to his late friend, and audiences can sense the emotional connection between the two. For McCartney, George was more than just a bandmate. He was a brother and a soulmate whose influence continues to resonate in McCartney's music. The enduring legacy of friendship and music. As Paul McCartney reflects on his career and personal life, the influence of George Harrison remains one of the most significant parts of his journey. McCartney credits George with teaching him patience and helping him appreciate life's simple pleasures, like gardening, sunsets, and quiet moments. "George taught me to slow down, to be here now," McCartney admits. These lessons have stayed with him throughout his life, and even as he continues to perform and create, McCartney carries George's memory with him. His words now reflect a deep sense of gratitude for their time together, and he speaks with love and respect for the brotherly bond they shared. In his later years, McCartney's thoughts on George are no longer coloured by rivalry, but are filled with warmth and reverence for the